What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about a change that happened somewhat late last night. There was an update yesterday morning, but even late into the evening, they were changing some things with the game. And one of the things they updated was the storm zones. So there's going to be this tweet here from Fortnite status that we're going to go over, and I'm going to talk about how these changes affected the game and if it made the game better. If you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what you think of the changes they made to the storm in yesterday's update. So the tweet reads, "We've made changes to the storm. Later circles now move as they close in all of Battle Royale, similar to competitive play. We've adjusted all moving storms and later circle timings. We've also re-enabled dynamic storm circles to conditionally vary the time between zones." Then they later clarified, "With dynamic storm circles, zone timings will adjust based on players remaining and accelerate games with no many players left relative to the circle size." So I think this is a great change. The slow zones, I think, was this season's biggest weakness, and dynamic zones pretty much solves this. If you have a game that's really dead for whatever reason and there's not very many players left alive, there's not much for you to do in the game, so the game's going to progress a little bit faster. And on the flip side of that, if the lobby is really populated for whatever reason, then it's going to be a regular length match. And I think this is something that Fortnite has needed to do for a really long time, especially this season. I'm sure if you guys have watched many of my videos or watched me stream, you've seen me talk about how the storm zones this season were just like really, really boring. There would oftentimes be less than 10 players remaining after the island, but the game would still go 2 or 3 zones past that at different points in time, where you're just waiting for the zone to be small enough so people are finally forced to fight. And I feel like you also kind of got like some mutually assured passivity, because like the zone would be so large for the amount of people left alive, so that like everybody would kind of just do nothing. So if you were the only person that did anything, you would just get like focused and third-partied or third-party sniped by the rest of the lobby. So I think the storm circle change is great. It's not quite back to how it was last season. There's still 12 zones. They just made it to where the games are going to be a bit shorter if it's dead, which is typically how they will play out in public matches. I think one of the biggest problem that Battle Royales can have is when the games are just super dead and there's not much for you to do, like I talked about. And you'll have a game where a zone or two in, you can already see that it's going to be a really dead, really boring match just based on the player count. Like even way back in the day, people were complaining about tilted towers because there would only be like 20 players left after first zone. And I don't really think there's much that games can do to prevent this. It's just kind of naturally how BRs go. 100 players drop onto the island. Most of them are going to be gone after first zone. So just making the match speed along a bit and force people into that smaller play space sooner, if it is a really dead game, I think is the best possible thing they can do, because it's not really a solution to the problem, but I feel like that problem is going to occur no matter what. It just makes it less annoying to deal with, because if you do get a really dead game, you don't have as much time where you're just sitting there waiting and that you feel like you have to be sitting there waiting and doing nothing. Otherwise, you're just going to get like sniped or, third party or whatever. I've seen a lot of players complain about like how campy endgame is this season. I think heavy snipers contributed to that definitely, but I think these zones were a much larger piece of that puzzle. And so like last season and pretty much for all of zero build solo matches for me would be around like 15 to 19 minutes or so, typically like 17 or 18, but they were somewhere within that time span, right? Well, so far this season, they were like 20 to 24 minutes long typically, and this is for solos, which typically should go a little bit faster because there's not as many people like rebooting, or you're not fighting 4 people at once. You're fighting 1 person at a time, and once somebody's dead, they're dead, right? But even then, the games were going to 22, 23 minutes very regularly, and not only is that a decent amount of time for a singular match, the bulk of it, like not the bulk of it, but there was like the last like 6 or 7 minutes were just like very slow, boring, campy endgames. After this update, I've won a few matches. They were typically 18 to 20 minutes, a more regular time span to what we were used to. I did have a really long game in build mode, but it went into like moving zones and stuff, which typically doesn't happen. But for zero build, every match I played today was around 18 minutes, which is much closer to normal. There still was some kind of time where you're not doing much or it's a little campy, but that's going to happen regardless. I think at least it got the game moving along a little bit faster than what would have happened otherwise, I think. And just in general, yesterday's update addressed most of the problems I had with this season. I think Chapter 4 Season 2 is a very good season. It was just kind of held back by some minor things. The storms were definitely one of them, or how slow they were and how campy Endgame was. It wasn't good. But also, I'm not a huge fan of how the repetitive nature of this season being like you land at a spot, you go to the vault, you wait for island to spawn, you go to the island, and then you're just waiting for the game to end after that point. And with the nerfs to the mythic weapons yesterday, they're still good, but it's not as like you need to go for this or you're probably just going to lose to it. And then also, I wasn't a huge fan of being very much encouraged to land in the new biome. Like, it's fine like to have like the sword racks there that guarantee the sword in the new biome. I get why they want people landing there, but it felt like if you landed anywhere else, you were really just like hoping you got lucky and found a katana. But with the ODM gear being added to the game and the boxes where it can spawn being all over the map and not confined to one biome, I feel like you can land in a lot more locations now, which is great. I like landing in different places and mixing it up game to game. You don't have to do the same exact thing every game and just go to the vaults and then wait for the island to spawn. And then now also the games aren't going to be as slow in game. So I feel like yesterday this update addressed pretty much every minor, like those are they are big problems, but they're also kind of minor. It addressed all of them. And I think the game is playing a lot better, the matches I played yesterday and today. With the changes they made. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm going to let some gameplay play out of a game I got today. And this is a game where there was a somewhat slow in-game. It was fine. It wasn't absurdly slow. But just think like prior to the changes, how much slower this game would have played out. But since there was only 3 players remaining, myself and 2 others, the zones moved along pretty quickly and we were able to like end up winning the game in a much shorter time span. I think prior to the changes, this game would have been like 23, 24 minutes potentially. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Oh, that was not great for me. I was hoping to drop him down there. I killed that guy yesterday. Or the day before. I killed that guy somewhat recently. That's a name you don't forget. Did you guys see that, bro? Wait. That's improvement. I was gonna run out of ammo there, but I reloaded and then killed him. But if I didn't reload, I might have ran out of ammo. Like I had in earlier fights this game. Yeah, I mean, I could have stayed in there and gotten the pulse rifle. I had slurps and everything, but it's just like, I would like to have the pulse rifle, but it's like not that big of a deal to me right now. But I think for a 2-gun setup, I would rather have the pulse than the red eye. Because like if I do get in a situation where I run out of ammo, I could switch to the pulse and kill him. If I have to switch to the red eye, like it's not gonna be pretty. Oh, we got bunkers up here too. That's so good. Oh my gosh, it's Ninja. Someone just landed on us, I think, but I don't know where they are. Whose Maven is better? I mean, mine was much better than his. I don't think he had the mythic one or the exotic one. Yeah, he had purple. He still like played that. He was such an awkward player for me to hit. Like that fight should have been cleaner, given the circumstance. I threw those the complete wrong direction. That guy's mad. I don't know where the guy went. Imagine my IRL movement was that good, bro. I don't know where the other guy is. Like, he shot at me in the back, but, like... I think he's behind that, but somehow the tree I knocked down just managed to not hit him. Playing off cars is fun. I hate cars so much. As someone who's been hit by a car in real life, I don't think Fortnite should constantly force me to relive that traumatic experience. But like,